Greetings, brothers and sisters. This time we are traveling to Scotland to find the true essence of those majestic green pastures, these mountains, Scottish whisky, and the ones that we call kilts, skirts for men and soldiers alike. Now, pardon my bad pronunciation, but this one is Saor, and it's a one-man project from Scotland, Glasgow, the working city. Alright, let's get going on. So this one is by a gentleman known as Andy Marshall. He looks like a true Scotsman, much like Sean Connery's younger version. Oh, I can almost feel the Scotch malt on my nose and all that stuff. And now I must stop this ridiculous attempt to sound like a Scottish man because I do not sound like that at all. So here we have Saor's fourth album, Forgotten Paths. What a great artwork. I don't know how it looks to you, but all these colors, the feeling, the sheer atmosphere on this album is almost like it's here. Now that the autumn is closing, this is pretty fitting for the theme. And curious enough, this album wasn't released during fall, but more like early 2019, February, March, something like that. I don't know, I got it pretty late, but nevertheless, very autumn-like album in my opinion. So what's it all about? 4 tracks. Well, 3 lengthy tracks, each one being more than 10 minutes, and then one shorter, less than a 5 minute tracks with kind of a introduction, kind of an outro kind of a thing. Um, so music-wise, this is melodic black metal with very atmospheric style. Think of Norwegian band Winder, and you are pretty close what we have here because this is very melodic, sometimes very melancholic, but at the same time also very beautiful and captivating, even catchy at most parts. Now, even though this is mostly a solo project, this is also a project which features some of the guest members, like playing violin, bagpipes, and drums. Also, guest appearances for vocal parts are here to kind of complement this feeling. So it's almost like a band, but just being conducted and composed by Mr. Marshall here. Now, all these different elements like violins and bagpipes are certain to complement the whole album. So it's not just guitars and drums doing all the time. And to be honest, they really fit in and kind of give this kind of a folky frosting, if you know what I mean. So it's not really a folk metal album, but there's clear kind of a folk metal feeling to it. Mostly because of this use of more traditional instruments. And I think they are doing pretty nice job. Now, when I'm talking about melodic black metal, I don't, with this one that is, I'm not referring to bands like, say, Dissection or Dark Funeral. There's no evil feeling. There's no this ominous feeling that something bad is about to happen. This is not about reaching all the way into the abyss, but more like enjoying nature and the surroundings when there's like more like rural feeling, like going into the wilderness and taking a look at those majestic, I don't know, hills, mountains, woodlands, lakes, seaside, and all that stuff. This is what it brings up in me anyway. So even though I'm like a Finnish guy, I can pretty much relate to this kind of a melancholic, even nostalgic feeling towards the nature and all that stuff. And I think in that respect, this album is has succeeded quite well. Now, the only thing which I basically have a little bit to whine about are the vocals. Not all of them, because the clean ones work out pretty well and they are like nice to listen to. But when we're talking about black metal, when we're expecting a sort of a shrieky, raspy, screaming vocals, well, these are not unfortunately well done here. They are sometimes more like sounding like a dog barking in the distance. And that in that respect, they are more like death metal growling, but not very good at it. It's more like, what the hell are you doing? I mean, kind of a barking sound sounds, I don't know, unfitting for this kind of music. And unfortunately, they are the ones that seem to dominate most of all. I'm not, taking times here like, oh, there is 4 minutes of this and 5 minutes of this kind of vocals. But this is kind of like the feeling I have in my back of my mind. I mean, that these vocals are just they're too much in my opinion, or they're the wrong kind of vocals, which I don't know. Um, I don't think they're well executed anyway. But it's not like ruining the whole thing here because this is very much guitar driven music. And by guitar driven, I mean these melodic parts which are just easy to hum all the way. The other thing which I have a little bit problem with is that some of no, well, some of the songs, most of the songs are way too lengthy, and I don't think it requires you to have like 12-minute tracks with these kind of melodies. I think shorter passages would have been better. But then again, this is just me explaining my feeling and my thoughts about this album. I'm not saying it's ruining it for you. You might even like longer tracks, and that's totally fine, of course. So, in the essence, in the end, I want to say that this is pretty good an album, and I think it totally deserves its listening. For me, it was mostly just enjoyable to get into the atmosphere here and feel this kind of nice melancholic feeling, which is about summer to end and change into autumn and then into winter. This might be even a wintertime album, to be honest, or late fall. Depends, of course, where you live, what kind of atmosphere you're into. But very, very nice cover that fits the melancholic feeling with the album. So definitely give a listen, and if you really feel listening to, if you really like the album, I totally recommend getting this. This looks nice, and it's something that would complement any CD collection or vinyl for that matter, if that's available when you have the thing for this kind of music. So check out those links and let me know what you think about the music. Thank you for watching. Take care.